The Oneplus 5T is real,
it's almost definitely happening,
and we know just about everything about the device. So sit back, relax, and take this in. Perhaps the most exciting thing about this phone though
is that it might well be imminent.
There have been a lot of different circulations, a lot of different rumours of release dates, and they've all been clustered around November. But the one that really sticks, the most reliable leak so far, has suggested November the 16th. And that would be just about right if we compare that to when the OnePlus 3T was released last year. It makes total sense. Now, to be fair to it, the OnePlus 5 is a pretty delightful little phone. It's got fantastic levels of battery life. This phone wins just about every single battery test I've ever done on the channel. It's also got literally record-breaking performance, and it's at a very fair price. But it does have one caveat. When you place the OnePlus 5 next to the Galaxy S8, next to the LG V30, even the Google Pixel 2 XL, it lacks a contemporary form factor. Looking at the front of the phone, it almost looks like a flagship phone from 2016 or even 2015.
This could very well be all about to change.
Leaks of the OnePlus 5T are plastered across the internet. They are increasing with frequency as we get closer to the launch, and the best bit here is that they are also consistent with one another, which is a surefire way of telling that they're credible sources. And what do they show us? Well, the traditional 16:9 aspect ratio display on the OnePlus 5 is now being elongated. The OnePlus 5T is coming with an 18:9 ratio, along the same lines of pretty much every other smartphone we've seen this year. The side bezels seem pretty similar, but the top and bottom ones have been quite significantly shrunk, and a recent leak from Evan Blass has all but confirmed it. And on top of that, he shows the top half of the smartphone. You can actually see there are some very subtle curves in the corners of the screen, a little bit more subtle than what we've seen on the S8 and the S8 Plus, but nonetheless they do look nice, they do give it that premium feel. Now, moving a phone from a 16:9 aspect ratio to an 18:9 aspect ratio kind of seems like a subtle difference, but you will notice it instantly. Not only has the screen to body ratio drastically increased, giving us a much more up-to-date and premium feel, but also there's just loads more content on screen. It means when you're browsing articles, looking at photos, you can just see more at any one time. In terms of the finish of the phone, it's very likely to stay the same from the OnePlus 5. It's going to have the same aluminium enclosure and the same soft touch matte finish. For a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a great finish. It's one of the few smartphones that feels premium at the same time as not attracting too many fingerprints. Also, typically looking at OnePlus's past phones, the OnePlus 3 and the OnePlus 3T, the design barely changed at all. In fact, the two phones looked almost identical in terms of their body, and you don't really notice the difference when you turn the phones on and use them. Also, don't forget that OnePlus, in the grand scheme of things, especially compared to a company like Samsung, is a very new firm. They don't have the budgets to perhaps undergo the R&D required to come up with a new smartphone body twice a year. One thing you can probably tell by looking at these renders though, is that the fingerprint scanner has moved from the front of the phone to the rear, which to be honest I'm kind of indifferent to. The move is required so that they can have the larger screen up front, and to be honest, if we look at the implementation of the Google Pixel 2's fingerprint scanner, that's pretty fantastic. It's easy to feel for and it's very fast, and if OnePlus manages to achieve anything like this, then to be honest, that move has done more good than harm. The OnePlus 5 had a resolution of 1920 by 1080, and for the 5T, everything is pointing towards it having the same 1080p display. Because it is stretched slightly upwards and slightly downwards, it's going to have a resolution of 2160 by 1080, but in terms of sharpness, the difference is negligible. Some of the rumours for the 5T have suggested a Quad HD Plus panel, which to me makes very little sense at all. Given the company's focus on performance and battery life, a move like that would be quite counterintuitive. Not to mention it would mean a much higher price for a gain that very few people would be able to see. Not to mention, we've seen a very recent Antutu benchmark of the supposed OnePlus 5T, and it does say that it has a 2160 by 1080 screen. And speaking of this benchmark, this does somewhat confirm a lot of the other specifications too. A Snapdragon 835, 8GB of RAM, and 128GB of internal storage. Now, there may be other versions of this phone, but more than likely the one that's just been benchmarked is the higher end model. We may still have one with 6GB of RAM, we may have them with less storage, but to be honest, it seems pretty much like the OnePlus 5. We do have Android Oreo here compared to Android 7.1 on the OnePlus 5, so that is a plus point of sorts, but you will notice this is no next generation phone. This is more like a current gen phone, but it's really trying to round the year off with a bang. The next thing is a little bit more up in the air. We're not entirely sure, but with the OnePlus 5T, it does seem like, as well as screen size, OnePlus is going to focus on camera. Now the OnePlus 5, to be honest, did have one of the best cameras that we've seen in any smartphone this year, so this is an exciting move. Now, why do we think this? Well, to be honest, we've seen a tweet from Pete Lau, who is the founder and CEO of OnePlus, who basically posted a photo, quite a nice looking photo you have to admit, and he teased the text, must have been taken with a great camera. The winky face probably gives away that he is not talking about the OnePlus 5. A few days ago, we saw something very similar from Carl Pei, the co-founder of OnePlus. The fact that these leaks are cropping up with their sort of cheeky intonations does suggest that the company is planning something. And it begs the question, why would they be teasing photos from the phone if it has the same camera as the OnePlus 5? So there probably is an upgrade here. Some sites have suggested we're moving up to a dual 20 megapixel sensor, but it's really not confirmed, so on that one, we are just gonna have to wait and see. So guys, there we have it. That is the OnePlus 5T. It's an exciting time. The OnePlus 5 is one of my favourite phones of the entire year, and the fact that OnePlus is stepping in and correcting one of the phone's main drawbacks is definitely something to look forward to. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. I'm Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'm signing out.